Let's move on to this. We didn't get into this a lot last week, and I want to bring up Bitfinesse's tweet. That's actually not the one I wanted to bring up, so sorry, Bitfinesse. I wanted to bring up, was it Pepe Olivar? Yes. Okay. If you want to get rid of the pulse chart, Ewok, I wanted to show. He says great things are coming for our first anniversary. Testnet has had a lot of activity in PulseX. So last week we were going to really make this show about some of these potential updates that it looks like are coming to PulseX. Then Frank Molina had to come crash the party. So I kind of had to ditch some of that stuff.
We love Frank. We love Frank.
Love Frank, and the clips of that have been up all week, and people are loving them as well. But we did, of course, talk a lot of PulseX with him. We didn't necessarily get to talk about some of the news that has come out about PulseX over the last couple of weeks. And what a journey it's been for PulseX, in this ecosystem. Not to continue talking about price and stuff, but it was like, okay, before Pulse Chain launches, you got K4K and Westcott and all these people, 14,000X, and just that PulseX is basically the cock of the walk. It's what everybody's talking about, and it's going to do all this, and the buy and burn is amazing and all this stuff. So Pulse Chain launches, and it all falls flat on its face, especially at PulseX. The ratio widens; it falls further than anything else, goes down 90+%, and is still ravaged basically at 70% down. But it has, it basically hit sack rate for a very small period of time. But the buy and burn is working, and basically we found out that like too many people or more people sacrificed for PulseX, more money sacrificed for PulseX, and that's why we saw it fall so hard. Now it's almost like we're seeing this amazing recovery story of like, well, wait a minute, where it's like the contrarian thing, and when things start to pump, PulseX is pumping pretty hard with the Ink token and stuff like that. And, people are getting excited about the buy and burn again, and not, when prices were even further down, it was like, where is single-sided staking and all this shit? So now we're starting to see, it would just be such a great arc for PulseX for it to like then go back and do like crazy amounts of X's this cycle after it's just, had a sentiment chart that's gone like this.
Yeah.
But we have seen some updates on the testnet. Do we have updates for PulseX on the horizon? So the same person who deployed PulseX on testnet v4 recently also forked the Pancake Swap stable swap contracts, which would be like the implementation of Curve Finance AMM. This would help with impermanent loss, making it less impactful, and also lower slippage on orders. So we are seeing that, and I had a tweet of that bookmark from a couple of weeks. This is like a week and a half old news at this point, but I think it kind of got swept under the rug because I haven't heard too many people talking about it, and we are seeing that, and it would make so much sense for some of these PulseX upgrades to not just happen right out of the gate, let people suffer for a while. Oh, this thing sucks. Why am I holding it? And then as things start to move up, these upgrades that may have been planned for all along start to come in. The other thing we saw is someone is testing privacy polls on testnet v4.2, which is, I think, probably the even more interesting thing because Richard Hart has talked about that before. What could be coming here in terms of the privacy stuff on the testnet, and how could it be for the ecosystem? I'm going to try to find these bookmark tweets to add some extra color here, but what do you think of both these pieces, Ewok?
Well, yeah, I think all along it was to just release it in the, minimum viable working thing that they could get out because people were bitching so much that it was taking so long. And I think the plan all along was let's make it work. Let's make it work strong. We don't want it to fail, obviously. And we'll add functionality as we go. After we get some people shaken out, we'll probably start to add things. You'll start to see maybe that elusive single-sided staking that we've been all waiting for. People were so loud about it when it didn't launch with it. And, personally, I have mixed feelings about it. First, it would have locked people in, right? It would have allowed them to earn more, whatever it was earning. Whether I don't think it would have been PulseX because it is deflationary. So it would have possibly earned incentive token. Well, we didn't want those people earning incentive really, because I think a lot of those people still didn't believe, but would have just been earning more power to dump anyway. So I think all along the theory was to let's shake some people out before we start adding these functions. It'll give us time to work on it in the background without people, being all over our backs about when pulse chain type thing. So it's great. I think the privacy thing is something that a real DeFi should have, right? It's one of those
Mhm.
things where Richard has always talked about it wanting privacy for many reasons. If you have a business, you want to be somewhat anonymous with if you're paying people. You don't want everybody to know how much everybody else is making, things like that. You don't want your vendors or whatever to know what price you're spending on supplies or whatever it may be. Anyway, there's a lot of good reasons for privacy, and very few of them are nefarious reasons. So Richard has always been a very strong proponent of that. So that will be, I think, it will probably be one of the first ones to implement something like that fully. Um, so again, I don't know the details of it. I don't know if it's just the swap. I don't know if it's part of the overall chain as far as Pulse chain goes. Um, but you know, I'm excited about it as well. I don't know that I'll have any reason to use it, but then again, why wouldn't you? I don't think it hurts anybody to be private with your transactions, so that's good. Um, as far as the curve finance
Mhm.
thing, I think that's fantastic as well. I never don't remember using it on testnet before. I did use
Mhm.
testnet, but I don't remember the function that it provided. So I will be excited to learn more about that.
Yeah, and I think regardless of how interested any one of us may be in either of those facets, just the fact that it does look like more things are coming to PulseX. Could we have limit orders soon? You mentioned single-sided staking, things that maybe, we're going to hold PulseX no matter what. And we know just with the buy and burn alone how valuable this is. Like, there is no
Yeah,
DEX in crypto that has that fee switch activated. Uniswap basically does the opposite, and we'll get to that trash in a minute. But it already is such a valuable product, and people just can't picture that. Like, just the simple fact of seeing the buy and burn creep up and seeing that it's almost at 4% now, seeing all,
mhm,
even if it is meme tokens at the moment, like trading hardcore on Pulse Chain. I just think that people need more stuff. And I think, it was a wise move not to launch it with everything you planned on adding in. And that goes for any project in crypto or
sure.
really any market. Why would you, if you are trying to take advantage of the long term and investors and you want to keep things coming and you can release something with not necessarily bare bones, but with everything that it needs to operate flawlessly, that, just people's excitement is going to carry it for a little while. Wait and introduce that other stuff later when the rest of the market is pumping.
Yeah,
I think it's a terrific plan, and it's people have had to remind themselves like how powerful the buy and burn is, and that's really the reason that you are holding this thing long term, as we talked about with Frank last week. So
yeah.
yeah,
Yep,
I
we're
love
at
it.
3.98% burnt
Wow.
so far of the supply, so almost 4%.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that close yet. So yeah,
Yep,
very awesome indeed. So good things coming for PulseX. I think, I don't think I'm alone in thinking this. Just kind of seeing more people talk about it and the sentiment towards PulseX. I think people are pretty much as bullish on that as just the Pulse token at this point. People are realizing that, like, okay, well, the Pulse token's like ETH. It's like the gas token. It's like I
mhm,
have to have it. It's the ecosystem. I think PulseX is kind of this cycle's hex for people. And I'm not saying that like in terms of the product it is and what it does or anything like that, or what like a smart contract versus a DEX or anything. I don't mean like that, but I just think that it is like the new innovation in this ecosystem that is the sexiest one to own, that you can see what it has going for it and people are excited about it because it does have the shiny new object syndrome, whereas HEX doesn't as much. And you can see that it's a unique protocol that nobody else in crypto has. So I think that it really has that behind it.